Alright, we're going to mix things up today and hit the casual ladder to test out this Regulation G Zekrom Team. Zekrom here is going to be very fun to try because we have Dragon Dance and a Clear Amulet to bolster its attack and speed while protecting its stats from drops from the likes of Intimidate and Icy Wind. Definitely don't want to take an Intimidate drop into our attack stat, and we definitely don't want to take a speed drop from the likes of Icy Wind or Scary Face, so definitely good to have that Clear Amulet. Now we are going to have to be a little bit careful with the Zekrom here because we're running 3 damaging moves and Dragon Dance, so no Protect, which means we're going to rely on the likes of Incineroar's Fake Out and Amoongus's Rage Powder to try to either redirect attacks or shut things down by making them flinch. Now, if I run into a Covert Cloak, that's kind of bad for Incineroar, but we do have that Rage Powder off the Amoongus, which is going to be relatively nice. Zekrom's not the only hard hitter on this team. We have a Choice-Banded Urshifu as well. We have Terra Water on this thing, as usual, to make our Surging Strikes do a tremendous amount of damage, and we also have Rain Dance on our Tornadus to increase the power of Urshifu's Surging Strikes and Aqua Jet. Additionally too though, we're going to make things go a little bit harder by softening up the targets with Leer off of Tornadus. Leer is a very fun tech to have on Prankster Tornadus because Leer hits both targets in a double battle, which means hitting the targets and lowering their defense one stage means Zekrom's attack and Urshifu's attacks are going to be stronger in comparison. Long story short, it's going to be fun for either Zekrom or Urshifu, and Incineroar is also going to appreciate that as well. We have Flutter Mane here with a Focus Sash to help keep it alive. We have Icy Wind for a little bit of support, and then we also have both Shadow Ball and Moonblast. Because Groudon and Koraidon are going to be allowed in the format as well, we might potentially run into one of those two Pokemon today, and if they bring the sun, well great. Flutter Mane also gets its Photosynthesis activated, and then we get a nice handy little speed boost on top of that while also having a Focus Sash, so that should be relatively nice at the end of the day. And on top of that, if we do run into the likes of Groudon and Koraidon and we don't have Flutter Mane, well, we have the Rain Dance off Tornadus to shut that sun off, so we do have that there too. And finally, we have Amoongus with Pollen Puff to also do a little bit of damage to our opponents, but to also heal up our partner Pokemon, which is relatively nice. We have Standard Spore, we have Rage Powder. Basically, we have the standard Amoongus. It's been gone for a while, but it's time to bring back the Mushroom. Also, we have Leftovers on this thing too, just to get a little bit of HP back. But anyways, let's jump on into some battles and see how we make out. Alright, we got a Miraidon team with Galarian Moltres, Iron Boulder, Iron Bundle, Pelipper, and Urshifu. So, silver lining is they should be bringing the rain for me, which is going to be very handy for my Urshifu. Now, I don't like the idea of taking Electro Drip off of the Miraidon, so that could be a little bit scary, but having a U-turn, Choice-Banded U-turn into things could be relatively nice at the end of the day. I think we're going to lead the Urshifu. I think we're going to bring the Torn. We can bring Zekrom in the back. Having Amoongus could be nice for the redirection support. Now, I do have to be very careful because the Electric Train is going to ruin Spore. But we could do something like that. Being able to pivot into Incineroar could be nice as well, so I think maybe we'll pivot into the Incineroar. Then we have the Fake Out plus the Intimidate for the Iron Boulder and the Urshifu. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's see how this plays out. Miraidon is definitely going to be relatively scary at the end of the day because it's fast and it hits like a truck. So we do have to be very careful about Electro Drift just connecting with anything. Now, the Choice Band is going to be relatively nice on Urshifu, so Miraidon and Bundle. So there's a Quark Drive getting activated, which I don't think my... Actually, my Urshifu might be fast enough to outspeed a Quark Drive Iron Bundle, so that might be okay. It's a speed-boosting Iron Bundle, so we'll double-check this right quick. Yeah, we are fast enough. We're 1 point faster under Tailwind. So, I think I'm going to Tailwind and go for the U-turn. And I want to get some damage off into that Miraidon, so I think that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, if they go for Freeze Dry into the Urshifu slot, great. I'm planning on bringing in the Incineroar for the Fake Out pressure. And then that way I can try to get rid of that Iron Bundle if possible. So, we didn't see a Terra. That's great. Switching Zekrom into either of these is going to be extremely bad. So, best not to do that. Fake Out and Bleak Wind could be relatively nice here too. So, there's an Icy Wind. That's fine. Torn takes a lot of damage there. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went the Electro Drift into Torn instead. No, they went Dazzling Gleam. Okay. So, I still lose my Torn, but I have the Incineroar now. So, what I could do is I could bring Urshifu right back. I think Close Combat could be really nice into Miraidon. And having the Fake Out right there for the Iron Bundle could be handy. And plus, that breaks a Focus Sash too, so if they're sashed, great. And we'll go for that Close Combat right into the Miraidon. So, if they're Covert Cloak, that's really, really bad, but we'll find out. So, Miraidon is gone, which is going to make Zekrom a very happy camper. So, we do have the Electric Terrain still active, so there was no Covert Cloak on that. I lost my train of thought there, but I think we're gonna cycle Zekrom in for Incineroar so that we get our Fake Out back, and I think we're gonna Close Combat this Iron Bundle. I think that's gonna be the nice thing, getting Bundle off the field, and then that way we can bring things down to the last two Pokemon. And the nice thing here is, because they went for the Icy Wind and we haven't seen a Tailwind, we shouldn't have to worry about Tailwind off my opponent. So I should still be able to outspeed them and go for some big damage. And plus, the Electric Terrain is going to give my Zekrom's Fusion Bolt a extra boost in power. So getting rid of Iron Bundle is going to be huge here. So then, if they went Surging Strikes into Zekrom, great. I'm going to resist it. I have that Fusion Bolt. And my Urshifu is just kind of free to do whatever it wants to do, unless they go for my Urshifu, which I don't think they're going to with the Surging Strikes. I think you go for Incineroar that way, so we're going to resist that really nicely here. So, I can always Close Combat them. Yeah, I could always Close Combat and Fusion Bolt. I think the big thing is it'll depend on what my opponent's last Pokemon is. So, it is the Pelipper. Okay. Now Surging Strikes is going to start getting a little bit scary, but that's alright. We're going to Fusion Bolt into you. And I think we're going to switch out Urshifu. I think we're either eating a Hurricane or a Weather Ball. So, I would rather not eat a Hurricane into my Urshifu. Urshifu's kind of keeping us around, let's be honest. So, having the Fake Out support for Incineroar is going to be very handy. And if this is a banded Urshifu, great. I'm going to do some major damage to them. And if it's Focus Sash, well, they're going to be down to 1 HP. So, that's a clean KO right there. Good for Zekrom. We're definitely making advantage, or taking advantage of our Tailwind. So, now we can just finish off the Pelipper with potential Fake Out Fusion Bolt shenanigans. So, that should be relatively safe for me right here. So, I think I just click Fake Out and I think I click Fusion Bolt. The Pelipper is not going to be outspeeding the Zekrom, so this should be relatively nice at the end of the day. My opponent does forfeit, so we cleaned that up relatively nicely. And also good to know, too, that Miraidon really does not appreciate a Choice Band at close combat. I mean, not a lot of things appreciate a Choice Band at close combat, but that worked out to be very, very nice, since we didn't have to worry about that bundle or the Miraidon dealing with my Zekrom, because those are two definite strong options to deal with Zekrom. Anyways, good game to my opponent. Alright, we got a Zamazenta team with Chenpao, Amoongus, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Rillaboom, and Entei. So, the Zamazenta here could potentially be going for Iron Defense Body Press. It could potentially be Howl support. which Entei, Rillaboom, and Chenpao all benefit from Howl, and plus so does Zamazenta. So that could be a little bit spooky. Not gonna lie. If it's Body Press, well, at least we have the Flutter Mane in the back, and at least Amoongus can resist one before it starts spiraling out of control. So Incineroar might be really nice here with Zekrom, and then that way too we can go for a Fusion Bolt. If we go for a Fake Out into the Chenpao, great. If they expect a Fake Out, we can always go for a Flare Blitz. I think we bring... The problem with Zamazenta here too is Flutter Mane, while being immune to Body Press, is still a fairy, so it's weak to Behemoth Bash, so that's going to be a problem. I think we bring the Urshifu, and I think maybe we bring Amoongus. We can potentially put Entei to sleep. We do have Terra Water on Amoongus so that we can resist the fire-type attacks. But, yeah, that Zamazenta has the potential to be extremely scary. So we'll have to see what they do. It's going to be Entei Zamazenta right out of the gate. So they're going to get their one defense boost. Entei could potentially just go for a straight-up Sacred Fire into my Zekrom, and if it does, well then, Zekrom's really not going to appreciate that. I think I Fake Out Zamazenta here and go for the Dragon Dance. And then that way, too, I can get the +1 into my attack and then try to deal with some of these things. Sacred Fire would be really bad into Zekrom because I could potentially take a burn right out of the gate. Let's see. It is going to be Zamazenta going for the Terra. Is it Terra Ghost? It is indeed Terra Ghost. So close combat's not going to be doing me any favors, but it's a Ghost type now, so I can always go for the Surging Strike still. Flare Blitz is not going to be doing me any favors, and it went for coaching into the Entei. All right, so maybe a Stomping Tantrum is coming out, and that would give the Entei a lot of firepower right here. So we'll see how this works out. The nice thing is at least the Zamazenta's at... Oh, yeah, there's a Sacred Fire. Okay. We didn't get burned. That's great. We're going to go for a Fusion Bolt into you, and I think we're just going to... I really want to go for the knockoff, but I'm gonna go for the Entei. I'm just gonna go for the double up. Man, that was hard to get out of me. That's great damage, by the way. Entei's now at +2, which that is terrifying, but we have the knockoff to hit this thing. They're fishing for the burns into Zekrom, which I don't blame them, because that just absolutely ruins Zekrom's day. Unfortunately, I'm not Terrifier, but I should, at this range, be able to get rid of that Entei with a Fusion Bolt. And I really like the idea of going for Parting Shot into the Zamazenta here. So I think we're going to go for the Fusion Bolt, and I think we're going to Parting Shot into Zamazenta. So far, we've only seen... Oh, there's the half of the Extreme Speed. Okay. Not great. Yeah, that's really bad. But... okay, we got the Iron Defense coming out as Zamazenta. Body Press is going to get real scary real quick, let's be honest. But I do have my Choice Banded Urshifu. Yeah, I do have my Choice Banded Urshifu in the bare minimum, but I have a Amoongus. Yeah. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a bad... might be a bit of a bad thing, but what we could do is we could always go for Terra Water into the Amoongus and go for the Surging Strikes. Yeah, we could potentially do that. Yeah, that Zamazenta's at +3 defense, which means Body Press is going to do a lot of damage. So I think I Rage Powder. But I think I gotta keep the Terra Water for Urshifu. Yeah, I think I have to keep that Terra Water. Yeah, I think that's what we do. I think we Rage Powder. Oh, great. Even better. They just completely undid all their coaching boosts. Now, they could just be going for coaching into Rillaboom, which is terrifying for my Urshifu, but I do have a Amoongus on the field, so if Zamazenta goes for coaching into Rillaboom, not the best for me. But at least the Rillaboom takes good damage. And I can always switch out into Incineroar and try to deal with it that way. So, how much damage are we going to do? I lied about the good damage. We're doing a little bit between a quarter and a half. Maybe I overspoke. Or, yeah, maybe I misspoke there. So, I think Incineroar switching in for Urshifu looks really blatantly obvious, but it might not be the worst thing to do. Because they can always just ignore my redirection with the Rillaboom. But I think I'm going to bring in... Incineroar. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm actually going to try to Spore the Zamazenta. So, if they go Body Press into Incineroar, not the greatest, but at least if I put that thing to sleep, that should be alright. And plus, Rillaboom's going down to -1, so I might be alright. There's the coaching, which, you know what, not the end of the world. I'm glad they didn't go for the Body Press into the Incineroar, so Woodhammer's going to come out. This is neutral. That's great. We're going to get a little bit of chip damage from the recoil, and Zamazenta does go to sleep. So that's going to be very, very handy. I think what I need to do is I think I just need to Flare Blitz into that Rillaboom and go for a Pollen Puff into Incineroar and try to keep it healthier. Because if we can get Entei back into the field while Zamazenta's asleep, great. So we're going to go for that Flare Blitz, and we're going to Pollen Puff into Incineroar, get a little bit of HP back. And that should be alright at the end of the day. Once Rillaboom's gone, we have Urshifu, who is sitting nice and pretty. Zamazenta's taken its first turn of sleep, so here's the high horsepower. That's a lot of damage. We do get our Citrus Berry back, and we're going to get the Pollen Puff. So long as I don't do enough recoil to myself to knock me out, that's the big thing. We don't knock out the Rillaboom. That is terrifying. But we get all that HP back. I think I go for a knockoff into Zamazenta. And I think I Pollen Puff into the Rillaboom. And then that way, that gets rid of the Rillaboom right there. Or I go for a Parting Shot. No, I think I gotta get a little bit of damage into that thing. So, Rillaboom's withdrawing. Knockoff would have been really nice into the Entei. Unfortunately, Amoongus is not going to be able to take that thing out. Zamazenta does stay asleep for one more turn, which is great. So, we do get a little bit of damage off into both of these Pokemon. That's alright. The nice thing here, too, that was a crit, but the nice thing is at least we got a little bit of damage off into the Entei. I can dodge the Sacred Fire going for Protect, but if Zamazenta wakes up, this is going to be really bad for me. So, we'll protect Amoongus. We'll find out if Zamazenta wakes up or not. It does. Is this a body press? It is, unfortunately. So that's going to be some big damage into Incineroar right there. But we at least take the Sacred Fire with Protect. So Urshifu can now come in. Urshifu is Bandit in the bare minimum, so I might be able to get lucky here with the Zamazenta. Now, I can't say the same thing about the Entei, but maybe what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to go for the Spore. There's the Extreme Speed. Urshifu's going to take that, no problem. Unfortunately, the Zamazenta is just way too fast. Zamazenta is going to go to sleep again, but unfortunately, just Urshifu is just not going to deal with that. So we do put them to sleep, which is nice. But yeah, Zamazenta is very scary this generation. You're going to have to factor in some ways of getting around that defense boost. So let this be a lesson to you guys. Zamazenta, it's terrifying. Yeah, especially with Terra Ghost, because you know, we already lost the fake out into it with the Terra Ghost, and on top of that, it is able to provide some great support with the coaching into its partner. And if you're not ready for it, it will ruin your day. That's for sure. So yeah, anyways, we're just going to finish up this battle here, and then we're going to jump on into another matchup here. And they're just going to protect the Entei. Why? Why? Amoongus is my last Pokemon. Why would you do that? Because they're mad that I put them to sleep. That's exactly why. Yeah, anyways, we're just going to finish up this match here. Just finish me off. I'm not running. Anyways, Zamazenta wakes up here. Alright, so there's the body press. Maybe that's what they wanted to do. Maybe they wanted to see if they'd get the wake up and knock out the Amoongus with the +3 defense boosted body press. Maybe that's why. Anyways, good game to my opponent. Okay, so Diego here has Tatsugiri Dondozo. This is an interesting team here. No restricted legendary. Yeah, all right. So let's see. Let's bring out Zekrom and Torn, and then this way, if they bring Torkoal, we can just immediately shut off the sun with the Rain Dance. We're gonna bring Urshifu in the back. We'll have to be careful in case this is a fake out, and that's actually Storm Drain Tatsugiri. And you know what? I do like the Flutter Mane for getting the speed boost, so that might be relatively nice at the end of the day. And Fairy is going to be relatively nice for hitting the Tatsugiri and the Great Tusk. So that might be nice. But you know what? I think the Intimidate support is going to be very handy with the Incineroar. So we're going to do that for this this last matchup here. So yeah, let's test out the Zekrom and see how it works out. Now, after you, Torkoal Lilligant can be extremely strong, so definitely got to respect that. Dondozo is very strong as well. They're going to bring up the Torkoal and Lilligant right out of the gate. So I am actually going to go for the Rain Dance, get rid of the sun, and I think I'm going to go for a Fusion Bolt, or yeah, I think I'm going to go for a Fusion Bolt into the Torkoal. Yeah, we're going to go for the Fusion Bolt into the Torkoal. Or no, because it could be a Sleep Powder. So we're going to Dragon Claw into the Lilligant, and we're going to Rain Dance. That's exactly what we're going to do, because maybe it's after you, and if it is after you, great. I want to get some damage off into that Lilligant. They're still faster than me. That's interesting. All right, so Rain Dance, lowering the Eruption's power. Yeah, and Tornadus actually lived that relatively comfortably, so that's great. We almost picked up the Lilligant right there. That's nice. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to Fusion Bolt into the Torkoal slot, and I think I'm just going to go for a Bleak Wind Storm. And then that way, we have the spread option. If Lilligant goes for Protect, great. If they switch out, I have the Bleak Wind. So there's a helping hand coming off the Lilligant, which makes me think maybe we're seeing an Earth Power instead off the Torkoal. So Lilligant's gone. Torkoal's going to take a speed drop, not that that matters. And we're going to nail this thing with a Fusion Bolt as well. I was honestly expecting maybe a Great Tusk switch in, so that's kind of why I wanted to have that combination of the Bleak Wind and the Fusion Bolt in case Torkoal did switch out. Now, we don't pick it off. Unfortunately, Torkoal is going to nail us with an Earth Power. Not enough to KO, which is nice. And Zekrom's hanging in there. I really appreciate the fact that I do have a little bit of HP left on this thing. So Bleak Wind could be relatively nice. A Leer off Torn might be great. Who is this? It is Great Tusk. Okay, so Bleak Wind is going to be really nice here, and I think I'm just going to Dragon Claw into the Great Tusk. Yeah. We have Urshifu in the back, which is going to be very, very handy, so yeah, the Rain Dance getting rid of the sun, that was definitely something I needed. Yeah, I definitely needed that to kill the momentum here. Wasn't expecting Lilligant to be faster than Zekrom still, but makes sense because Lilligant, I think, does have the same base speed as Zekrom, and I'm not fully max speed. So we're going to get some big damage off into that Great Tusk with the Bleak Wind. Are we going to be able to outspeed the Great Tusk, though? I don't think so. Oh, we actually are. Okay, so could be an Adamant Great Tusk. Not that it matters. Great Tusk is gone. The Fall of the Tusk. Fallen Tusk. There we go. Yeah, alright. And here we go. Hisuian Arcanine is the last Pokemon to come in. And we're just going to soften things up. We're going to Fusion Bolt on the off chance that they go for the Rock Slide. And try to get them both. And we're going to go for the Leer. And never mind, my opponent just forfeits the match. So that worked out relatively nicely. And yeah, I think I needed that after getting spanked so bad by that Zamazenta team in the previous match. But anyways, good game to my opponent. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out this pre-Regulation G Zekrom team. Like I said at the beginning of the video here, this was a little bit more of a change of pace by hitting the casual ladder to test out this team. And honestly, it doesn't really matter too much if we had gone with more wins or losses, which is kind of a cop-out, the fact that I'm showing 2 wins and a loss here. But the main idea here is it was more or less to get a general feel for the team and how to try to adapt to some restricted Pokemon. We ended up going up against 2 teams that did have restricted legendaries in the forms of Miraidon and Zamazenta, while the third game was just a non-restricted team. And honestly, I think overall the team played out relatively nice. Urshifu was able to deal with the Miraidon and Iron Bundle in the first game, which they were both major threats to Zekrom, but by the time Zekrom came in, Miraidon's electric terrain was still on the field, so Zekrom was actually able to use it to its advantage to power up its Fusion Bolt. And then in Game 2, we ended up playing against that Zamazenta, and that thing just knocked the absolute senses out of me. It went Terra Ghost to get around Incineroar's Fake Out, which makes a lot of sense at the end of the day, since Zamazenta is naturally holding a item, so it can't, or rather, it's holding the Rusted Shield item to keep its crowned form, so it can't hold an item to otherwise remove the Fake Out weakness right there. So going Terra Ghost makes sense. So something like Flutter Mane could potentially be able to get around Zamazenta if you do run into a Terra Ghost Zamazenta, especially if you have Fake Tier support. That could be relatively nice at the end of the day. But this Zamazenta that we ran into had coaching support for both the Entei and Rillaboom partners that it had. It had Iron Defense to boost up its own defense while being able to use Body Press to do an insane amount of damage. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the last move slot was potentially Behemoth Bash for some Steel type coverage, because Flutter Mane and Golden Go are a thing. So it would make sense that being able to hit them with something. So Being able to hit Flutter Mane, especially with that steel type stab option, would have made the most sense, but I could have also seen Wide Guard as another potential option for it, and then that way it would have been able to protect the team from spread moves such as Groudon's Precipice Blades, Kyogre's Water Spout, or Origin Pulse, Calyrex Shadow Riders, Astral Barrage. So I could see that as being one of the last move right there. And then finally, the non-restricted team that we played against, that was basically some Torkoal Lilligant shenanigans with the Sunny Day After You tech, and we just denied it with Rain Dance. So that is part of the reason why we had the Rain Dance on Tornadus, especially too, because while it was a Torkoal, the same idea could be applied to Groudon. You could see a Groudon Lilligant, and then the Lilligant goes for After You, and then Groudon goes for either Precipice Blades or maybe a Heat Crash or something like that. Groudon's not necessarily the fastest Pokemon out there, so the same idea for shutting that down applies to the Torkoal Lilligant idea with the Rain Dance. And then from there, we had the Rain. The full-powered Eruption just didn't do that much damage to either Zekrom or Tornadus. We were able to remove the Lilligant with a Bleak Wind Storm off Torn. Zekrom was able to finish off the Torkoal with a combination of Tornadus' Bleak Wind Storm and a Fusion Bolt, and then we had Great Tusk come in, which we removed with a Bleak Wind Storm and Dragon Claw. So overall, that was relatively smooth. We didn't get to try out the Leer tech on Tornadus today, but it's there as a little bit of a fun means of being able to use it. It doesn't have to be used every single time. Anyways, thank you once again for watching the video. I will see you next time.